It's time to make some flowers. Hello and welcome to the Treasured Page. I'm Melanie and this is our quiet crafting space. Well, thank you for joining me today. I am looking at my beautiful petals that we made in the last video. They are absolutely gorgeous. I've enjoyed having them in the craft room. I've even been putting them in these lovely jam jars just to store them, have them on the shelf. A really cool idea. And if you hadn't seen the previous video, do go and check out the making of these. Very simple, very straightforward to do, and I will show you how I have made my yellow petals on this video, so that's coming up in just a moment. So as gorgeous as these petals are, I now need to make something with them. This is a very inexpensive way to make a lot of beautiful petals. What a great little table favour for anybody who's been asked to help out with a special party or a wedding or some event. You know, these could be made en masse. They could be reused as well because they are just paper. And for our paper crafts, for journaling, how pretty are these, just attached to the papers. They could go down the side of pages. You can put quotes on them. You can write on them. Endless ideas. I'm sure we will come up with lots, but just to recap and remind you what I'm actually up to, I was making these out of napkin backings, so it's going from this to this, and these are my pink ones, and I'm wanting to make a few more yellow ones because I'm going to need more. You need more to make flowers that are big and full and gorgeous, so I need more petals. And they're very easy to make, so I think I've got this down to a fine art now, so I'll bring you along just to recap. This is the backing of a napkin. I've taken away the top layer, so I've just peeled that off, and now I'm left with two blank layers. Then what I've been doing is chopping away the edges. You'll see the dimple pattern on all napkins, like to keep the sheets together, but it doesn't look great on our finished petal because we don't really want to see geometric patterning. So that's cut away, and then you're just left with the inner large square. So let's say that I've cut this away just for demonstration purposes. Then what I will be doing is folding it up like this, just rolling it up. That wouldn't be there. And then I would cut out petal shapes, and of course when you've got it all rolled up you get lots in one go, so that is quick and easy to do just out of one napkin back. Now there's some beautiful pictures going up on the Treasured Page FB group, that's the Facebook group page. You'll be able to see what we've been doing, having a lot of fun there, and lots of success with tissue paper, especially the one that stays strong when wet. That's a good option, and also tissues that come in little packs, handbag tissues and facial tissues from boxes. So those are great options. And in one of these tissues that come in a pocket handy pack, you will find that they tend to have 4 sheets, so they are still thin, but it's 4 ply, and from there you can pull it apart and have 2 ply for your petals. So this is how I've been tackling it here, because I just want to keep the supplies down to a minimum, and I want to just make sure that we are using up resources that perhaps you already have in the craft room. If you've been doing some decoupage using napkin tops, you then may need a fun idea of what to do with the napkin backs. I know that I collect them up. There's several applications that I use them for, and this is just my latest fix. It is so much fun. I can't believe the results of this. Now to make this work you do need some ink or pigment. I've been using my watercolour paints and also my distress inks, and it would also be quite fun to use your vegetable dyes if you leave them out or reduce them down so that they are nice and strong, not too watery. You'll probably get a strong enough stain to create something that you could be proud of. Certainly with the yellow you might get turmeric ones. And the other thing that I've been doing is getting a little cup of water. This one I've already just done a batch, so this is a little bit pink, but that is water and PVA glue solution. So ignore the brand. I buy this in bulk from the hardware store in PVA glue used in construction, and I decant it into the craft bottles. Much cheaper way of doing it, especially if you use it for applications in your crafts quite a lot. So 1 part glue to 1 part water, just water it down, and then that will be a final thing that you do before you allow them to dry. A little bit of the PVA glue, and that's watered down, so it's a 50-50 mixture. I will show you that at the end. So the first thing to do is just to put some water droplets over the top of your petals, get them to soak up all of that, and then they will be saturated, and you can go about putting on your colour. You can squirt water over the top. They do move a little bit, so I just thought that this might be easier with the paintbrush, just dabbing that on. Okay, now I've got my petals down. This is my watercolour set. This is Mozart, and you get loads of colours in here, including metallics, and at the time of filming these were on offer, so if you are interested, the link is below in the description. Very good little set, and thoroughly enjoying using them. I'm just going to go for my yellow colour here, and I'm putting some down on this mat, which is just a silicone mat, protecting the work surface. And then I'm just going around. So I want to have some of these larger petals with this yellow colour, so I will do that on the petals where I can see they're a little bit larger, just dabbing that on, and that's really all we do. We just dab it up, down, dab, dab. Not any particular technique here at all beyond straight out of the pack yellow. Okay, I have got yellow inks as well, but because I'm doing this en masse, my watercolour paint seems to go a lot further, and I don't want to waste my ink, so I'm just making the decision that this has come out quite nicely with my previous experiments. Just got a water brush here so I can keep that moving. I'm not bothered if it tears, because we've seen that that actually looks very nice. And I think the other thing that I would like on these as a variation of colour would be orange. Use up this paint, some of this orange, and mix that in, and then I'm going to put orange in here as well, and just sort of daub it about and allow the pigment just to seep around on that tissue paper as it dries. No technique whatsoever, just dabbing colour on, just colouring them in with a water brush. A lot of fun. Just throwing it at these little petal shapes, doing it fast, doing it quickly, and enjoying it. Just, you know, enjoying the fast pace of being able to get that colour down on there. Just giving those variation of colour. I love it. Top ones, I've got some violet colour here. So just taking that from my watercolour set, putting on some water, and then putting that up the top there. I'm bringing it onto some of these over here, just dabbing it on. Anywhere I feel I need a bit more, just use that up. Then, you know, that's it really. And then with the top ones, because the variation of colour makes it look so realistic, I'm going to also put a second colour in there as well. So that was a violet colour along the top, and now I'm going to have a look at... Got a bit of cerise that I'm going to just mix in over here, and just add that a little bit in the middle on the edge as well. So we'll just concentrate some of that more pinker tone coming down the petal, and that's it guys. Just, you know, darker at the top, lighter at the bottom, and that's it. We just leave that to dry, and then as they're drying, if you're noticing that they're a little bit too pale, you can just come back and do a bit extra, and see how you like it. And if they're too bright, you can add more water and just allow the colour to disperse a bit more. So that's how we do it. So I've allowed these to dry off. They're about 50% dry here, and what I want to do now is a coating on the top, to allow the colour to set and allow the 2-ply tissue to stay together. So I'm adding here school glue, PVA glue, Elmer's, Mod Podge, anything you've got, anything that's water soluble, the cheapest possible glue that we give to children that's non-toxic and water soluble. So PVA glue, and just a little bit in there. So there we go, just a little bit, and then the similar amount on the top of just plain water. And then make yourself a nice solution. That was probably a little bit more than the glue. It doesn't matter, you just want a gluey wash. So I'm mixing that in with my paintbrush. Mix that in, so now we've got a nice runny, the consistency of milk, and I'm just going to dab that on each petal. Just allow it to soak in and leave it very gently over the top. This is why it's quite good to allow them to dry off and then come back and do it again, because it stops the colour moving too much if you're happy with the end result. The reason I'm doing this now and not right at the beginning is because I didn't want to keep putting my wet brush onto my paint palette or onto my ink pad. I didn't want to transfer PVA glue onto my art materials, so this is why we're doing it this way. And after that, if you're not happy, you can still add on colour over the top of it. And if you're watching this and it's autumn for you, particularly in Australia right now, you might want to do leaves, do leaf shapes, and then you could do the turning colours of the leaves, have wonderful russet colours and those gorgeous chestnuts, and really have a play with the colour tones. It will work across all seasons. Who doesn't like to see a little bit of botanical foliage in a journal? Okay, here they are almost dry. Some of them are peeling up and looking great. If you take them off the backing, if you've got some plastic down, you will be able to just allow them to dry naturally on that last little bit, and then they'll start to curl up and really take on the shape of a petal. If you have a look at the back of some of these, you'll see that the watercolour paint hasn't seeped all the way through. The beauty of the ink from the ink pad is that it will go all the way through. So if you want to have flowers that look great front and back, ink is your friend on this one. But yeah, you just could be mindful of that. You could turn them over and then you could go again if you want to. So it doesn't take long to do. Once you know what you're doing, you can get quicker at it. You can do this in about 20-25 minutes to have them all coloured up and left to dry. It's one of these projects where you can spend a little bit of time going away doing something else and then come back, or you can do it over several days so that you can collect up your petals. Now the effect you'll see there is from oxide ink as well, so you can of course do that. So let's just peel them up. It's very fun to peel them up, and I just want them to be allowed to dry on the backs there. So if I start putting the heat tool over them now, they're just going to blow all over the place. It's just best to leave them to naturally air dry. It really won't take long. Alright, and now we are ready to gather up our petals and have a play making flowers. Okay, here they all are in gorgeous little piles. Now just to remind us, this was my starting point. This is what I looked at, and I wanted to create a flower similar to this. This originally came off of a hat. It was pinned to a hat as a fashion item, and I loved the different colour variation, and I wanted to recreate something like this using this as the inspiration for this month's project. So here we are. We have petals created out of napkin in little piles, varying different colours, and what I need to do is make flowers that look three-dimensional but are actually quite flat for a journal. So I'm going to start off just by arranging my petals into a colour order. I've got these ones here which were book page as well, and they're in the pink tone, so they're lovely. So I painted a few petals just at the end there which were green, and they've come out really well, so I probably want to do some more of those. Put those off to one side. These were ones that were particularly raggedy, and they look fantastic. I think they almost look like a tulip, just with three. So I'm keeping those out of it as well, and then everything else seemed to be okay. It's just fun to go through and see what you've got. So these are pink. So I'll just separate them out into pink and purple, and then I can start building up my flowers from there. And then we just pick them up and start having a play. Just put them overlapping and go round in a circle. And maybe the bigger ones go at the back. And just have a little play. So we're going to just spin it round, add in another one. And just have a look at what you've got, really. These look a bit purpley to me, so maybe I just want to keep my pinks out there, and then perhaps they can come in and be more pink on the top, like this. So you're not really sure, unless you plan out your petals and count them all out, it could be quite random. And I think that that's probably quite nice. So there we go, that's already one coming together there. So let me just put that down. Let's see if we can zoom in a bit. Put that down there, like that. And then all we're going to want is something in the middle. And you've got a flower. All right, I need to think about that middle bit a bit more. But what I am going to do is construct the flowers. I love that. So I'm just taking my 1-inch circle punch here to some packaging papers and getting some little circles there. So I've just punched that out of 3 sheets of packaging paper. I've now got myself a little circle, and then I'm going to build up my flowers. So this one I know was enough petals. All right, so just put some glue on one of my little circles and I'm going to start building up my petals. Just sticking it to this paper, and then they won't be going anywhere, and then I can just start building up glue as we go. And I just need to make sure that I've got the right side, what I want to see facing forwards. Okay, just start adding in our petals. If I just put something in the middle, then I can see how it's looking from all angles, so I'm not happy with that one, so that needs to come in a bit. Maybe I'll exchange that one out and we'll have this one. Okay, so you just need to play around until you are happy, adding in your petals, adding in the glue, and then if anything's moving, just put a little bit of glue down there, get them all stuck in, and then the center will have something in there which we're not sure what at the moment, but if you put something in, you can then just check if you're happy. It doesn't have to be all symmetrical all the way around, but good enough, you know, so that's fine. That's nice and flat, guys. That's going to sit in our journals, but it's still going to look 3-dimensional. We can curl the papers up a bit more. It is just the thickness of 2 tissue sheets of paper. So there we are. That's number 1 done. They're really pretty, so I'm just going to carry on. I think I might have started with the hardest one there. Let's have a look at what I can do here. Just bring those petals in, overlapping them, going round in a clockwise way. Just fan them out a bit more. That's it, I've got it. So just play around, just take your time. This bit's the fun bit. I'm just getting Grandma's button tin out here and having a look at all the different possibilities of what could go in the centre. I'm still not sure, so I don't know whether it's a dark button. Does that work? I kind of love that, but I'm not sure. So I'm going to just make the flowers up and then figure out the middle bits at the end. So these flowers are going to turn out differently every time, I think. I've made the petals in varying different sizes, and so I can sit here and have a nice play. Just make sure that you're relaxed in your craft area, that you're wearing comfortable clothes. If you're sitting here for any length of time, just get all the things together, have a nice drink so that you can keep yourself hydrated throughout, that you're looking after yourself, and then just have a play. Maybe that your flower, you know, looks like that, but it also could be that you combine the other ones, so maybe the smaller ones can come and live in the middle so that you get a really big flamboyant one here. That's how you can do that, and you can curl these ones up and have the larger ones on the outside and then the smaller ones on the inside, and they're just going to look lovely when you start putting your middle section in. So that is a really nice big large flower. And then if I need to bring in my shape of my petal, just because that's going to be visible, that's easy to do. So I'm just adding a bit of stick glue. This would be super easy to do with the art glitter glue nozzle, but because these are so paper thin, they are going down really nicely. I think I might come around here with this one, just overlapping. And, that one there, that one on the top. I think that's pretty good. And then my embellishment would go in the middle, and it just link them all together, and it's really forgiving then. And also you can bring in your greenery if you want to make some green petals, or if you want to cut that out of some other papers, or if you've got any tissue paper, you know, this is where you can start bringing all of this in together, and before you know where you are, you have created something really pretty. So here we go, we can just see how this could look. You can start to see something almost like a water lily, something that could appear on the hat. It looks really fun. Yeah, so that's how we can have them if we want them, or we could just keep them flat like that, and then we'd have more to play with. There's lots of options. So that's coming together nicely. I'm going to work on my yellow ones and then build up to my big fabulous one. Okay, that's pretty good. And then if I put one in the center, you can start to see that's what that flower will look like. And then if we want more, I can bring in more around here. Okay, the moment is here to create a treasured page. I've got all the things in front of me. Everything's been made out of scrap or junk. And this is a craft challenge that I put out at the beginning of the month for anyone to have a little go and play along. Now, there are over 50 women around the world all taking part in this challenge, and they were given the same inspiration that I had at the beginning, and they were told to go off and create something using the prompt of a vintage hat, making something 3D slightly flat, and thinking about hat decoration and a variation of colour. And then I haven't given them exactly what they could do, but I gave them some rough ideas of how to put together a flower, and then I've been doing this along with them. Now, I know they're all keen to see what I'm going to do, but I'm really keen to see what they're going to do, and between us we're going to hopefully have lots and lots of ideas that are going to be all up on the Facebook group page. So you can head over there if you'd like to have a look as the pictures start to come in, as the girls get their projects out, swap them with each other, and then the photographs get put up over on the Facebook group page. So I'm having a go here. What I do here is my way, and what you do is your way, and your way is going to be best. It's not going to be my way. You don't have to do what I'm doing. If you'd like to take inspiration from me, I would be only too thrilled for you to have a go. Because it is a process that you go through, having a look at the materials, playing around, doing something that you maybe never done before, or you haven't even thought of, or you thought that was too complicated or couldn't be bothered. But when you do have a go, not only are you looking at materials in a different way, things that you would possibly be throwing away and wouldn't give a second thought as a craft supply, you're suddenly transforming it into something really worthwhile. Not only that, you're thinking about flowers, you're thinking about how they work, how the petals form and fit together. You've had to do that to create a flower, and in doing that you've programmed your brain to think of a positive image, and you've taken yourself out just for a moment to focus on something that you want to do. You want to create a flower. What a wonderful thing to say that you've been doing this month. This month I've been learning how to make a flower out of paper. Wow, that's a wonderful way to spend your time, because it means you're not focusing in on the little irritations of life that threaten to upset us or wind us up. We've been looking at flowers. We've been connecting with nature, even if we haven't stepped outside of the door. It's freezing here in the UK. It's been a bit cold. It's been a bit dull. Yet I'm staring at images of roses and peonies and daffodil images, and it's uplifting, and it gives us a buzz and a boost. That's what we need. I found this ribbon. I think it's for floristry or to do bows with, you know, because they are more three-dimensional. So I had some of this on a roll. So I've got this because it reminded me of straw hats. So I thought, oh, that's quite fun for summer hats, like the ribbons. But any wide ribbon would be fun. Even washi tape you could do, make it look like ribbon, or fabric, or Hessian tape, or anything really, but we could have it like this. If you've got rosette style flowers, you could have them at the top and make it look like the rosette ribbons. So then we just want something in the middle. I found this nice velvet vintage button. I'm going to use that. I think that looks really nice with that pink flower. And if I have my ribbon that way, then I can have little tuck points here. So this, you know, tickets to going somewhere, little idea there. So that was that. But I've made so many flowers, and I just think that one flower is going to be a bit lonely when I've got all of these. So I did quite like the idea of the yellow and this red pink colour here. So I'm just playing around. That could be a belly band, but then I don't see my ribbon. So then I'm thinking, what if I go diagonally and have the flowers here? So then I thought, if I go diagonally, I could maybe have a corner pocket, and I think that that's the way I'm going to take it. So I'm going to have a corner pocket. Okay, so now I've cut a triangle out of another sheet of paper, and that was just by slicing it off. I put that through the guillotine just so I've got this quite large corner pocket that I'm going to create, and this was just off of a scrap piece of coffee dyed paper. I'm gluing it down on two sides and creating a tuck or a pocket. I'm not sure. It's quite wide. Is it a pocket? Is it a tuck? It's a pockety tuck. There we go. Okay, so that's down there now. That's where we can put things, tuck things. So it's a tuck. It's a pockety tuck because the flower is probably going to obscure some of it. So you're probably only going to be able to get things in this way here. So when you're looking at your page, you've got to be mindful that this is going to end up in a book. So anything here is going to interfere with it closing. So I am going to come away from that fold there by 1/4 of an inch, just ½ centimetre there, to give myself the allowance for when things close, that it's not just going to constantly get caught. I don't think it matters having a little bit hanging over the top. That's quite fun. I'm going to see a little bit of this coffee dyed paper, and it's a bit plain, so we might want to do something there. So this is a net, a mesh, like a nylon, but it does have some threads through it which would grab. Okay, I'm adding some 3-in-1 glue down the edging here so that this strip will stick, and that's going to be there like that. The next thing is what I have been playing around with is the little fold, because when you look at vintage hats, they have a fabric or they have a ribbon and it folds like that. So I was looking at that and I thought, well, I've got white, I've got this sort of peachy salmon colour, and I thought that was quite nice for spring. So I thought that it could come and be here potentially, and just cover that portion there. So I'm going to put it on, and if I don't like it, then I will take it off again. So we're just going to put glue around the edging here. This is just a tacky PVA glue going here. That should provide enough grab for the paper folds that I've got there. So that was a square just folded up to give pleats like that. I'm going to fit that little triangle a bit into the bottom like that. Use the bone folder there, put in permanent creases, and then we'll have to just figure out something on the top for that bit there. Turn this over and then I can remove the excess paper and ribbon. Alright, so now we've got that. I'm going to ink around just so that I can see what that looks like. A little bit of ink at the top to give it a vintage vibe. Put some on there. I'm just using 3-in-1 glue all the way along this edge. This is where I want to put that ribbon that I've got there, which is a little Hessian ribbon. It's very sweet. I'm going to have it on there and stick that down. That creates a nice little edge, and that is where the opening of our tuck will be. So just make sure I haven't glued it down. So I definitely want to get this red flower on here. I want it to be bold and in your face. I want it to be this massive, over embellished celebration, this flamboyant sense of occasion. That's what I want for this page. So that's what we're doing. Okay, now I can add this in. All right, so that's going down there, making sure I've overlapped my corner section there, so when I turn it round and trim it, I've got everything covered on the corners. This could be long strips of paper that you've put marks on, maybe you've stenciled, maybe you've stamped, maybe you've got ink splatter. It could be anything really. The vintage hats, of course, are just a starting point. Just a fun little prompt for this month's challenge. All right, I've got a stencil here and I'm thinking that I want to have a little bit of foliage, like just a little bit of decoration at the back there. I'm just going to add in just a subtle mark on the paper, see what that looks like, just using the residual ink off of the ink pad here. Just give a little indication of foliage. Lovely. So that was walnut stained just through a little stencil. Okay, so far we've got this. This is looking really smart. We've got the stenciling on, we've got our ribbon on, I've created a corner tuck, which is nice. I've got this little pleating bit there, just some decorative paper that is that mulberry paper that came in a pack for some crafting long time ago project that never got used. And then all you would need to do if you just created something like that is perfectly fine as it is. I would just put a little flower on the end there with a button. How cute is that for a little springtime journaling page? You wouldn't need to go any further with it. So that is absolutely super. And a little bit of writing space up there as well if you wanted, and put envelopes and tuck some lovely things in there, and that is a really, really nice thing to do. So if you want to take these ideas, there's one right there. If you want to push it further, as of course I do want to push it further because I've got my flowers now, so they've got to go somewhere. I'm going to put on 2 flowers on the bottom, and I'm going to have the purple one, and I'm going to take this one because it reminds me very much of a daffodil, and that is a lovely flower that we have for springtime here popping up. I can see that out of the window, so I've got daffodils outside the window. So this is what I'm having here, lovely daffodils originally from Holland, and then, you know, we could have something like that. Now that's another look, really, really pretty. So that is where I think I'm going to go with that, and just glue these down. All right, so now that's a bit more of a finished piece under there. Let's put down my flower. Okay, now I'm sticking down my flower, first flower going in. Have it peeping off a little bit. I think that's where we want it. Okay, purple one is going to come and tuck in here. And now goes my fantastic flower coming in here. We've got to build this up a little bit. I'm going to add that there. I don't mind that petal overhanging. I'm leaving 1/2 inch gap there. So the petals are going to act as a bit of a closure for that hidden tuck there. I think that's really quite cool. We can have some things tucked in there. Oh my goodness, so it's coming together. That is the composition. Pretty good now. All right, I'm just gluing on my buttons here. Getting them where I want them. More is more, I think, on this one. Let's just throw everything at it. All right, and then we're going to have this one just to really give some inner layers to this flower here. It's looking really good. I've just got to make that final decision on that button, and then I'm going to add in my leaves here. And then I'm going to have these here. Okay, final decisions here now. I really love it. It's really special. I could have that, keep it all very pale, but I also have to think that this was a fashion piece. We were looking at couture, so I am going to have the black button, and I think that that is more of a statement. So we're going to have a big statement button on there. Okay, and then a big statement button going down there now. That is a very, very old velvet vintage button. That is a very, very old velvet vintage button. I think that that is just really fun. What a fun project. Oh, I've so enjoyed doing that for you all. That was really good. I'm going to add my little ticket to the races in there. That's where we're heading. And there we have it. Oh, that was so much fun. I really enjoyed that. So that is my project for this month, to build a page with a fabulous flower and to have a sense of occasion of the vintage hats and just being this positive, welcoming you into the journal for the flower project that was, of course, this month. And this is going to go off to my swap partner, and she will be able to start building up her signature. This is now forming part of this potential signature, so we will just be putting that in there, and then that is going off as the project for this month to my swap partner, and she will be able to do whatever she fancies with that, and that can be bound into her journal. Lots of fun pages there, including an eco print, and I've also done a little extra writing space for her with a stamp as well. Couldn't resist, so I did embellish a couple of pages there. I've left the one blank on there, and I've just gone to town with that one, and then that's going off with a scrap pack and a little tag to say thank you for being part of the swap and playing along. So there we go. If you'd like to get involved in a swap for next month, we have places available for Australia, but otherwise we are going to be doing the next sign up for the summer swaps in May, and you will be able to do that over on the Facebook group page. So that's the Treasured Page FB group. You'll be able to sign up when the announcement comes up for that in May. That was so much fun. I'm so pleased how that came together. I just love the look of that. So there we go. I hope this was inspirational for you, just turning your old hanky into something really treasured and really fun to put together. Very positive way. And do please give me a thumbs up if you thought that that was fun. Leave a comment below. That helps my channel to grow. And if you'd like to subscribe to the channel to follow along and find me in the future, then that would be great. You can also click on the bell icon and be alerted when my videos come up. Okay, thank you so much for joining me. But above everything else, guys, just slow down and make crafting time for you. Bye bye now. You know when you go away and you come back again and then you look at it and then you see something else you could have done? That's just happened, and I really think that I'd like to put some gold splatters on here, and because this palette comes with metallics as well as neons, I've just got this colour here and it looks rather beautiful. So I've sprayed some water on it, and I'm just going to give a little tap of opulence over my spring petals. And just like little dew drops, but golden. So I think that's enough. So I think I'm happy now. I think that this is just as it should be. And thank you so much for watching. Bye bye now.